Gaia Ag facility in Williamsburg, Kansas. Currently under construction for site build out. This building right here is going to be all the main offices. Hey, I'm on site today, Williamsburg, Kansas, looking at Gaia Ag's facilities. I still have some updates coming from the last call, but I wanted to get on site and physically walk through some of this stuff, show you guys. They're making progress here. His main guy, Gary Kreiser, you've heard him talk about that. I met him, he's on site. He's a lifelong construction guy who's essentially kind of like the director of construction, but he's a working in the field director. So him and Mark are the masterminds on all this stuff in the field. But you can see behind me, I got, you know, all these hay bales and stuff hauled in, running through these trials. One of the other things that's, now that I'm here on site, that's a big value is I was at the facility in Topeka, Kansas that they were looking to get. The buildings were a lot bigger, but they were landlocked and didn't have really much outside of the shell of the building. But now he's got this place here, and I mean, it literally is an old co-op that certainly fits the needs of Gaia Ag better without having to do a bunch of retrofits and other things like that. So you'll see some of this stuff as we go through it. One thing that is impressive as I kind of think about it, I mean, I think H2 as a whole has raised around, I think, 600K in total. I think Mark said he's got 3 or 4 other investors that are all in to the tune of 300 or 400. And when that was enough to scrape by or get through Series A. But I think what's interesting is, like, now I see all this stuff, all these assets, all these physical things that have happened. So they're just a little bit more impressive on what they have been able to do on a, I wouldn't say a shoestring budget, but just a slow arriving budget. So from an investor's perspective, I mean, the money that's been raised so far in Series A, I mean, has went for things, physical assets. So in terms of like a balance sheet, you know, there's things there that are holding that value. He's not, the money wasn't spent on, I don't know, processes or education or things like that. So now that he's got this site, and I've been here and seen, I mean, all these different things, attachments and assets and tools and things that they've purchased, it certainly means something else. Good stuff. All right, here's a quick rundown of the process. So agricultural fiber in general, right now it's in the form of these hay bales. I believe this is Milo. So they're taking these bales and then use a piece of machinery, grind it up into this material. The material is then taken through another series of events, which I'll go through, leading through here, and then ultimately stockpiling here. Once the material is ground, then it's brought over, and this is a smaller scaled version of the operation. So at full scale, this thing right here is a tumbler. It'll be, I think they said 8 times bigger than this. You'll be able to actually walk through the tumbler. So the material gets dumped in here. The tumbler separates the fines. The auger takes it up and drops it into this thing right here. There's the auger, comes up, drops into this vat. It's treated. The byproduct of here is pumped into this. Moisture is removed from here, and then this will be usable byproduct. Then from this machine, we go into a vat that's locked back behind this door. I've got a picture of it, silver tank. It's chemically treated in there. Then once it's done with the chemicals and washed, then they've had to work through a series of drying experiments. So again, these are miniature scales, but at first they started out with this guy over here trying to use a gravity type concept. It was taking too long. The moisture wasn't quite wicking out fast enough. So when he says they've reverse engineered and came up with their own process, this is what we're talking about. I mean, you can tell that this has been constructed from nothing. They built this. So this right here spins at about 25 or 30 miles an hour apparently, and wicks the moisture out of the material. Once the material is appropriately dried, I think they get it down to about 10 or 13 or something percent moisture. Then it's taken up the auger, dropped into the stock tank, or the holding tank, if you will, stockpiled, and then they just keep air on it and regulate the temperature. This, once it makes it to this, now it's ready to go to market. Here's another view. Main building and offices. I think this is the coolest part of this whole deal, is this old co-op building. This isn't in the plans right now, but once they get a little bit farther down the road, they're going to develop that out. It'll be really cool. Got a lot of charm, a lot of history. Mark's office is going to be up top. I think they're going to do, you know, a meeting room or something up there, and big, huge windows you can see out. But anyway, some cool stuff there. But down the road, all these hay bales they've hauled in for this testing. I'm basically standing kind of in the center of this site, spinning in a circle on top of one of these hay bales. They have put up 2 brand new Morton buildings, or QSI, I guess is the brand on that. And then another view of this pretty cool co-op conveyor tank deal here. I'm actually climb up there and get a view from up there.
Yeah, so for me, that stuff you see on the ground there, I mean, that stuff's been in here for a week dry, so.
A silo here in Williamsburg, Kansas. Gaia Ag operation. All right, so these tanks right here will be the holding tanks. I believe there's 6 of them. If you zoom in on this place, it actually makes a interesting shape. But they're going to be eliminating that one, that one, and that one. This one right here is being used for all the current tests, and then they kind of have to run the stuff through all this, which I'll go through in another video, and then it ultimately will stockpile into here. So in the future, they'll have this one, and the one on the back side, and then these will go away. Here's a current plan set for proposed infrastructure build-outs, working in a system from here. You'll see in some of these other videos, they've got the majority of this stuff up. Got a lot of stuff going on in here. This is basically like the east half, and this is like the west half. So this front will be construction offices and some of the other site operations. And then some of these offices that'll get built out back in here are some of the other managers and executives of Gaia. Oh, this is like a 140 foot long by 40 or 50 foot wide building. And they've already got going on retrofitting this. So again, this is all development from the 4 or 5 investors, including H2 and y'all. So far, this is what the money is being spent on. Here is the back or the end room of the major building. He's got this as a stockpile room in the short term as they kind of work through some of these processes. Couple buildings here, nothing special. Look like a couple 40 by 40s. Again, more assets. Of course, these 2 buildings were built. All right, standing over here by the elevator, the actual elevator itself. You can see that sign behind me, Williamsburg elevator. Pretty sweet. But another update, I got to talk to Mark today. Today's Wednesday, the 17th, I believe. Mark is down in Colombia, visiting one of his other plants down there. But the update is, I can't remember exactly what number he's at right now as far as money raised. 2.5, maybe 3, 2.5, somewhere in there. Said that he thinks he's got another guy coming in for 800. He is closing he is closing Series A. And what that means is he's going to have his attorney file the paperwork and all that stuff on the 30th of this month. So that'll be buttoned up then. After he closes it on the 30th, he'll be sending out all the formalized stock certificates and things that we don't have yet since Series A was still open. I owe a couple of you updated contracts. Some of you guys came in again on top of the first investment, so I need to get that notated. I've got records. It's all in deposits. It's all been transferred. I can show anybody proof of that at any time. But because this is kind of strung out, so has some of the formalities of this paperwork and things of that nature. So just wanted to address that. But Mark is supposed to also be sending me an email today with the link to the video from the last update and an updated cap table. So as soon as I get those things, I'll send them to you. All right, here we go. So this video is just for fun because they're not going to be doing anything with this for a little while, but this is the main co-op elevator itself. Pretty freaking cool if you're into this kind of old shit. I mean, that's deep down there, people. All right. Pretty cool in there. Yeah, I'll take Neutrina. That's all you got.